Hey guys, quick disclaimer, I am not sponsored by any of the products shown in this video. Had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jarrod Stevens, and today we're going to be making a simple, easy, and delicious dish that you can make right at home. All you're going to need is a couple steaks. You can get any cut you like. You can get cheap cuts such as sirloin, you can get strip steak even. I went ahead and got on some $1,000 pair of Wagyu beef. Now, you're also going to need pepper, salt, and a little bit of white pepper if you want to give it that extra punch to the steak, but that is not mandatory. Thyme, absolutely essential ingredient when it comes to making steak. You're going to need this when you baste it, but we'll cover that later. To begin, we have our steaks here laid out, beautifully laid out, I must say. I did them myself, so I should know. So, we're going to start off by salting the steaks. And you want to make sure you cover every single crevice of the steak. Making sure it's very well salted. See, a lot of the salt actually gets lost in the pan. So you want to make sure that the entire surface, including the sides, lots of people forget about the sides, is covered. Now, in terms of the salt to use, you can use any salt really. Table salt is most commonly used by most people and is in most people's pantries. But I'm going ahead, I'm just sprinkling some $1,000 salt that I got imported from Hawaii all over these steaks. Right. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to sprinkle more of that $1,000 salt just on the sides so I can tap the sides with some salt after. Beautiful. Now, pepper. This is absolutely critical when it comes to balancing seasoning on your steaks. You want to make sure that you do not oversalt your steaks, or I will find you. I'm just kidding. Right, so pepper. I'm going ahead, I'm using my $4,000 imported Hawaiian pepper here. We're going to just put that on top. Just gonna grate some of that on top, just like so. Oh, just look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Alright. Now, whoop, almost dropped that. Right, white pepper. Just gonna sprinkle some of that in. And this white pepper I special ordered from Turkey. This is about $7,000 per tiny bottle like this, but you can get it at the supermarket for cheap. It won't be the same flavor in any way whatsoever, but it'll still get the job done. Right, so I'm just going to sprinkle some white pepper on there. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous. God, cooking is just, you know, it's one of the few things that gets me excited. Right, so you want to just begin tapping that in to the steak, really make sure it's well incorporated. And of course, you do both sides when you season. Always season both sides of the steak when you're seasoning your steaks, else it's gonna come out like flip those steaks over. Same thing on this side. I'm just gonna sprinkle that all across the steak. Gorgeous. Just sprinkle some of that on. Beautiful. Perfect. Gonna tap that in. And to make sure, just gonna rub the sides with the salt, pepper, residue left on the board. That's sort of the beauty of this method. It's so simple, so easy, and so inexpensive to make. Right, now we're gonna move on and we're going to throw those steaks in the pan. But first, make sure your pan is ripping hot, or else you're not gonna get that sear you need on your steaks. It's not gonna come out the way it should. Right, we're at the pan. Let's get it nice and hot. Make sure you've got a lovely pan to cook with. You want something that can retain a lot of heat and it can just obtain and receive all those juices from the steak. So I've got here a non-stick copper lined bottom pan. I got this imported from France for about $20,000, but you can use any pan that's lying around as long as it retains the heat and the juices of the steak that you're cooking. Heat on. Want to make that nice and hot. Pan down. So, olive oil. Olive oil is essential when it comes to cooking. You better have a giant bottle of olive oil or I will find you. I'm just joking again. Olive oil. I got this imported from Italy for about $30,000 for this bottle, but you can use any olive oil lying around. You should have some lying in your pantry. Just over there in my pantry, I have a collection of these bottles from Italy. So I'm going to use one of them. Olive oil in. Just a touch of olive oil. It's just a touch. Not a lot. I'm going to move that around. We want to wait for that olive oil to start smoking. Once it starts smoking, you'll know that it's right to put the steaks in. Garlic, crushed garlic. I have this imported from the Cayman Islands for about $50,000. This garlic is absolutely delicious, but you can use any store-bought garlic. It'll give you a fraction of the result that I'm going to achieve here, but it'll still come out delicious. Unsalted butter. France imported $100,000 for this stick of unsalted butter. Absolutely essential, as you'll need to be basting the steak for at least a minute straight. Now, we've got that pan smoking. I'm gonna turn this on. We don't want to overcook the steak, and we want to make sure the smoke does not get out of control. Now that this is nice and hot, I'm going to go grab the steaks. Now, you see, the steaks, what they're doing in the pan is just fantastic. It's going to come out rich, tasty, delectable. The texture is just fantastic. You want those steaks to cook? Flip it about each minute to make sure it cooks nice and evenly, and then we're going to see about basting.
While cooking your steaks, make sure to turn them every so often, at least a minute each side. Make sure they're browned and get that really nice colour so they can get so much flavour. Add butter, thyme to really give the butter that texture, garlic, and finally a dash of nutmeg. Baste for the next minute and then take the steaks off and let them rest for 5 to 10 minutes.
So just about finished cooking. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful colouring. We're going to throw those on the plates. Now we're going to let those rest. Let your steaks rest for at least 5 to 10 minutes. It lets the juices flow, it still cooks on the inside, and it lets all that basted butter just combine and make it so delicious to eat. So, wait, and your reward will come. Right, just going to pour a bit more of that butter, just baste it on there. Look at that, it's just fantastic. It's nothing quite like a beautifully made steak. Look at that, gorgeous. But that's it for a few more minutes, and then we'll dig right in. Right, here comes moment of truth. All our labor, all our love we put into this steak. We're gonna taste it and we're gonna see if it was worth it. Look at this, absolutely gorgeous. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That is a perfect medium rare. Absolutely delicious. This is crazy. Such a simple and cheap, affordable dish that you can make at home that tastes absolutely delicious. Remember, you can make this with just a couple of those simple ingredients that I listed before, and you too can make a wonderful, gorgeous steak. I'm Jarrod Stevens, and until next time, I'll see you later.